But we're starting today with desperate state of our NHS, which, as we know, is in the midst of a crisis. Now, one solution which has been proposed by Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer is that patients would be able to self-refer for specialist help without having to see the GP first. So this is something he's come up with. He said we're getting rid of, bureaucracy and red tape and paperwork, and you should be able to take yourself to a specialist. Will it work?
There's a problem with this idea, which is that people already Google their conditions.
And disappear down a rabbit hole.
Exactly.
Normally.
So you might be referring yourself to completely the wrong specialist, which would waste more time. And if you shop around and find a specialist in an area with a short waiting list, if everybody has that information available on the internet, then that short waiting list could quickly become a very long waiting list, so it'll be self-defeating. And the problem with the NHS is not so much going in at one end. If you put more people in at one end, it's discharging them. There's a bottleneck discharging them at the other. And there's a piece of information in the papers today that says that at the moment it takes 50 pieces of bureaucracy to get someone out of their hospital bed and back home. Yep. And that is the problem. I think that self-referral is something that already goes on if you can afford it. And I've done it when I had skin cancer and I had the melanoma on my nose. I was glad that I had done it because I could not put up with the waiting list and the idea that I might have to wait months. And I think there are some conditions now where it would be much better.
Well, I think if you have a recurring condition, OK, so maybe you are referred to a specialist.
One, yeah.
Once you've been to that specialist and you know it's eczema and he knows it's eczema and they're treating you, if you then have to go back again in 6 months, maybe that's when you go, well, I could go straight to that specialist because you know that's what it is. The worry for me would be, as you said, people Googling, oh, I've got this funny lump on my arm. They Google away and they convince themselves it's a cancerous lump. So they find a specialist and they refer themselves. By the time they get to that specialist and he says, actually, it's not a cancerous lump at all, it's something else, and actually you've wasted your own time and that could be getting worse. You've wasted his time. For me, I presume where the GPs come in, although it's difficult to get an appointment, I appreciate that, but the GP at that point could say, now, let's calm down. I know you're concerned this is cancer, but actually, let's take whatever, a biopsy or something, or he might say that's actually a
but
polyp
GPs aren't taking the biopsies. No. They're referring you to specialists through the NHS that can take a long time.
OK, say it wasn't that. Say it was a headache, right? Someone's getting chronic headaches and they convince themselves on Google, I think I've probably got a brain tumour. And people do, they get scared. If you went to the GP and they say, let's calm down here, they talk to you about your lifestyle and say, actually, I think this is migraine and let's put you on this medication, that, and it turns out it was migraine and the medication would help. That person could have waited to see a specialist and actually it wasn't that at all. That's where I would be concerned, is that so many people would be referring themselves and a lot of people who get very anxious about their health.
Yeah, but at the moment, everybody wants results and you can't really blame them. They've been through COVID. And when I was diagnosed, this thing on my face isn't just any old spot. It's a basal cell carcinoma. I wanted it got rid of.
What about, Frankie, would you like the idea of being able to go straight to a specialist without going to the GP?
I think in some cases, yes. I think for me, I've got 2 kids, they're very different. Parker has asthma, he's got eczema, he has stomach issues, and we know that now. And sometimes it is frustrating when you know what you need to have to wait for a GP appointment, then go to the GP appointment, and then wait for the appointment for the referral that you already knew you needed. You could cut out that middleman if you know what it is, but I agree with you in that if you don't know what it is, I am one of those people, I quite like a referral. I don't really... I think, like a lot of people, unfortunately, we've kind of lost a bit of trust with a GP because, 1, you can't get an appointment, and 2, they get what, like, 10 minutes with you or whatever, something even less than that. You know they've got to be quick and get you out. So I think sometimes I'm looking for that referral. So if I had to miss the GP,
Yeah,
I'd
so
probably
how
be
do you
going to see all
know? How do you know
people.
which specialist
Well,
to refer yourself to?
I did my own self-referral because one of my kids had really, really bad eczema, was born with it. So we had to, we went to the doctors and they gave them hydrocortisone creams, which is actually really bad for them long-term or whatever because it just pushes the eczema back in. So we found a herbalist that we went to and they gave us this, mixture of all herbs and everything, and we used to bath him in this. But the herbalist also said the best thing to do with anything like eczema is to take him off of any dairy. So don't give him anything from a cow. So we never gave him anything from a cow. We found goat's milk, we gave him goat's milk. I mean, now it's so easy. Honestly, it really, really did help. Now you can get goat's milk, oat milk, all different kinds of milk.
But I assume you had been to a GP
we'd
first to
done
be
all of
told
that.
it's eczema.
Yeah, we'd done all that. Well, we knew as soon as it
Well,
was
let
born.
us know what you think. You know, do you like that idea of being able to refer yourself to specialists without going through your GP? And as Sir Keir Starmer says, getting rid of the bureaucratic nonsense, as he calls it. We'd love to hear what you think.